Savage Joy here with Real Progressives. So tonight I wasn't really planning on doing a live stream, but I do love my impromptu rants now and then. So today is a super, super hard day, well, really weak, for many Bernie supporters, especially. And I just kind of wanted to touch on that a little. I was not a delegate. However, I was on the outside protesting for 6 days in over 100 degree heat, marching about 8 miles a day. And it was one of the worst weeks of my life, as well as, probably a few thousand others. So basically, I just kind of want to, number one, celebrate those of us who went there and fought for democracy, but also the delegates on the inside who, represented us and stood there amongst all that pain and still held their own. And also those who couldn't be there and really wanted to and had to deal with that heartache at home without their brothers and sisters. So that's the one thing I can say. I am really difficult, to say the least. We had huge movie screens right outside the stadium where everybody was. And so we had two of the huge screens, and we were just watching everything live as it was going on beyond the fence they built to keep us out. So we're watching live, and we're seeing tons of people with Bernie shirts and signs just bawling hysterically from inside. And it just rips your heart out. It's so heartbreaking. And this is not about him. This is about what was stolen from us. This is about the fact that we knew damn right well there was a really good chance we'd have President Trump right now. And we warned them, and we said over and over and over, hell no, DNC, we won't vote for Hillary. We chanted it time after time after time in the streets for hours for 7 days. They knew. But propping her up and colluding and cheating was more important because vagina, first woman president. Yeah, well, fuck that. Because even as a woman, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't give a fuck. Yes, stay ridiculous. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, stay ridiculous. Sarah Silverman can eat a bag of dicks. But anyway, I digress. So, it was incredibly painful from everything to, from I had a delegate, because at one point a lot of Tara, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're not making any damn sense. But anyway, so I met this one delegate who came out when a lot of the delegates were walking out because they weren't going to sit there and listen to the shills, like, and watch her drugged out and celebrating with her balloons. So it was heartbreaking because this delegate came up to me and just started bawling, and I didn't know she was a delegate. I asked what was wrong, and she said she was a delegate from California, and she was one of the over 3 million votes who ended up in trash bags. So you have someone who campaigned for this man, who was a delegate for this man, and not even her vote counted. That is so I don't even know how to say it other than undemocratic, as trite as that sounds, and elementary. It it's awful, and as someone who did work their ass off for the campaign, it was that much more difficult to deal with everything, because I thought about how I worked 40 hours a week and went to school and literally gave a minimum of 20 hours a week to the campaign. So that was my second home at our campaign office. And I kept thinking, fuck, every single door I knocked on didn't matter. Every single phone call I made didn't matter. Fernando, so am I. I am a very proud independent. Very, very, very proud independent. I love it. One of the things, actually, on that note, I kind of interrupted myself, but one of the things on that note is that we had a coffin there with upside down donkeys on it that said RIP DNC. And it was really, it was kind of kitschy, but it was symbolic at the same time, because, it was the death of democracy as we knew it. It was, you can do this, and, Debbie Wasserman Schill gets fired and then hired by Schill within 2 hours. That's democracy. Okay. So you see all this. So we, myself and a few comrades, we ripped up our Democratic voter registrations. We threw them inside the coffin. We joined the candlelight vigil for democracy. And it sounds very silly and dramatic, but at the same time, what else is going to get their attention? Our tears, they don't give a fuck. No, they don't give a shit about that. Are you kidding me? So many of the Hillary supporters, so many, even still to this day, they tell us, go kill yourself, fuck you, you're a loser, you're, conspiracy theorist, just whatever. There's so much ugliness. So then you can also see all the videos of all the things the delegates went through inside, where they were taking their signs, ripping them up, to, pushing some of them. It was, people don't understand. They think this is all about Bernie, and it's not. This is about getting involved in politics for the very first time, waking up thinking, holy fuck, I went from just being Democrats are good, Republicans are bad, my whole life. And now I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, everything's so corrupt. Money's behind everything. And, and I learned so much. I got that free education. Thank you, Bernie. So you go from that and you invest so much, and you put your all into the movement, and the movement is just crushed. And it's by forces that are so beyond anything we have control over. That's what's the most disheartening thing. Should they not have cheated, we would not have Trump. That is a fact. Because, yes, there is a damn good chance Bernie would have had the nom. And if you do the math, even if he didn't, there would have been countless people who still would have voted for Schill had she not cheated. I wouldn't have voted for her, because that would, I pretty much never would, regardless. But other people would have. So, Tara, I don't know what you are talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. You sound bananas right now. I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, so being there around all these people who had given so much, yes, right, that's a really good point. Chris, that is so true. Chris in the comments said, at the very least, now we're strong. There's more progressives now than any other time in recent history. That is a really good point. Because as disgusting as Trump is, I did read the Podesta emails. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Someone, please just get rid of Tara. She's a troll and I don't know. She's distracting me. But anyway, so yeah, Chris, you're right. Even though Trump is so atrocious, he actually got people off their asses. If Hillary would have won, she would have just done nothing, changed nothing. We'd still be in so much trouble in so many ways. And yeah, it might not be the same ways, but how many people would be protesting all the shit she does, all her coups, and her, what she did to the people of Haiti, and, lying about being under Bosnian sniper fire, and, all of her transgressions, being married to an accused rapist, things like this. Who's going to call her on that? Only activists. So because we were stuck with Trump, as unfortunate as it is, people were literally forced to get off their ass and say, holy shit, things aren't as good as I thought they were. Granted, there's still way too many people with cognitive dissonance. There are still way too many people who lack empathy. There are still way too many people who have signs like, if Hillary won, we'd be at brunch, which is the most disgusting thing. I'm sorry you're getting mildly inconvenienced to go hold a sign one day a year. It's abhorrent. But that's something else, we're learning almost 2 years into the general. There's still so much vote shaming. It's more rampant than ever. It blows my mind because it's been almost 2 fucking years. Who cares who voted for who? Who cares? It's nobody's decision except the person who made the vote. People who vote shame literally wish they could come in the voting booth with you to press the button. That's the only way they'll feel okay. And it's incredible because I was going to vote for Hillary. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I own my vote. I own it. Nobody else. I vote for who I want, not who I don't want. As Assange said, they put us in a hostage situation, and I don't negotiate with terrorists. And that's a damn good point because, you have shit and shittier regardless. I know it's kind of debatable who's who with a lot of people, but that's not choices. People want a choice. 90 million people stayed home. 90 million eligible voters stayed home at that. So that being said, they felt like they had nothing to vote for. They were totally disenfranchised. They were heartbroken. They were, okay, we vote for something that's the same as it's always been, which obviously is not working, or someone who's just, Tangerine Mussolini or whatever you want to call him. I did too, Ray. Yay. I wrote Bernie in too. That's awesome. Yeah, the way I look at it is honestly, even though Hillary disgusts me so much and I loathe her, and I hope I'm never in the same room with her. Hashtag please don't kill me, Hillary. I don't care who voted for her because it's not my choice. It's not my business. do I ask who people voted for in the primary before? I mean, before I ask them on my show? Hell yes. I've had over 90 candidates now from across the country, and they've all been progressive, but they've all voted for Bernie in the primary. And that's not because I'm like some Bernie worshiper. That's for the simple fact that I don't care who they voted for in the general. Everyone just was so fucked up in the general. It was a personal choice. However, during the primaries, if you had a choice between someone who was fighting for we the people and you chose that, no, you're not a progressive unless you legit have some epiphany and all of a sudden say, oh, now I don't stand for money in politics. Now I'm against fracking. Now I am not supportive of someone who enables an accused rapist husband. These things. So, I've had 90 candidates. It's not hard for me to find people who did not vote for her in the primary. So, that is my litmus test. That you take no corporate money. So that, when I went to Occupy DNC and, I met so many beautiful people. I also met 6 women from Haiti who were actually there protesting Hillary. Because for those of you who might not know, oh man, Freudian slip there. Her foundation, her Clinton Foundation, which is, if you go through records, has only given 6 to 8% of all they've raised to any of the charities they've raised for. If you actually research that, you see that they kept literally billions of dollars from the people of Haiti, who they supposedly raised money for after the earthquake. Well, I spoke with these 6 Haitian women who were amazing, and they were so beautiful and so bright and just freaking powerful activists. And, I spoke with them and they were telling me their stories about how they never saw a penny and how, the Haitian people are still hurting so badly and how their homes are still destroyed and how they still don't have food. And you're talking years later. Now, the interesting thing is when Hillary gave her, acceptance speech, they listed, all these accomplishments and everything, but they didn't list the Clinton Foundation, which I found really humorous. So you got to wonder why. And that's because they've been, they're pay to play. They've kept, way too many of the donations for themselves. Now I forget who said it. It could have been FDR, but someone said there's no way to get rich in politics unless you're a crook. And that's totally correct. I mean, you take the Clintons and you see that when they left the White House, they were on an interview which said, when we left, we weren't just broke, we were in debt. That being said, if they were in debt when they left the White House, it hasn't been that long, but yet they have like $45 million. How's that? From her, Book of Blame speech tour, her Goldman Sachs speeches. I mean, she gets money for these things, but does that really equate that amount? It's people don't want to see this because Trump is this boogeyman. And when you point out the fact that Per WikiLeaks, it even states that she's the one that asked him to run and propped him up as a Pied Piper candidate and said, tell the media to treat him as a serious threat. He wouldn't have even been in the race if it weren't for her and her people. Don't forget, they were friends for decades. Like, you guys have seen the pictures, smiles in each other's faces. Aren't you the company you keep? Isn't that saying? But she's so much better than him, and he's racist and this and that, but you didn't know it until now? Okay, whatever. That's another thing. She is so racist in so many ways, and people choose to ignore that as well. Making hot sauce comments to people of color, super predator, of course, sticking her finger in a young Black woman's face and saying, well, why don't you run for something? Stealing from the people of Haiti, in her first book, admitting to using prison labor with people of color as her staff. If people actually educated themselves on who they're voting for, they would have acknowledged the fact that she's garbage too. But there's two reasons she had those votes. There are two. Yes, she has supporters, but there's two reasons why she had those votes. Vagina and not Trump. Those are the two reasons. We all know there's people who said, you say, who are you voting for? Hillary. We all know them. So many people didn't want to vote for her. And my heart goes out to the people who I met at Occupy DNC who were chanting, hell no, DNC, we won't vote for Hillary, who I worked in the Bernie office with, and who hated her with a passion, and then caved at the last minute, and then their hearts were broken because she didn't even win anyway. And that's one of the reasons I couldn't do it, because I was like, okay, I vote for her and she loses anyway, I'm going to fuck some shit up. I vote for her and she wins and she doesn't win by one, I'm going to fuck some shit up. So at the end of the day, I was like, my one vote does not mean shit. I'm in Pennsylvania. Trump did not win by one. And then people come at you and say, well, if you would have voted this way and other people aren't my problem. They're not a responsibility. And if you're responsible for other people's votes, then I guess you failed because you didn't, convince me to vote otherwise. It's fascinating the way that people congratulate you and give you props and, all these compliments when they say that you're so strong and you're, such a nonconformist and, you're brave and you don't let anyone talk you out of what you believe in. But then it comes to voting. I mean, there, and then when it's voting time, it's like, yeah, but why just kind of swallow your pride and do this. If I would have, that would have pleased you, but would it have changed the outcome? No. So the number one case of entitlement and lack of a democracy is by implying and stating that you have a right to tell someone how to use their vote. That's disgusting. And people still do that. And social media is rampant. Those who didn't vote for Hillary wasted our vote. However, then those wasted votes ended up causing the results in the entire election. So I'm not sure what their definition of wasted is, but I'm not sure how that's possible. But it's selfishness. That's what it is. We are in the situation we're in. Obviously, the difference right now is that the DNC literally has learned nothing, not a single thing. And, when we were at Occupy DNC, a lot of us activists, we're talking strategically. That, you're with 40,000 of your brothers and sisters. You're going to talk about, where do we go from here? What should we do? What is the plan? And we were pretty much all Bernie or bust, whether that meant burn in, vote Jill, whatever. We were pretty much all Bernie or bust, and we made it known. So when we were talking about these strategies, we had this, I guess, naivety, this hope that when we got to this point, oh my God, in 2018, we're going to have this, fuck the blue wave. It's going to be a progressive tsunami, and we're going to have all these Bernie crowds and everything. Yeah, we do. I've interviewed most of them. But the thing is, people are so disheartened and so discouraged that they're not coming out and voting in the numbers we assumed they would. And that people posted, that they would. We have 20 primaries left and a general in 2018. And I'm on my page every day, like, please, 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 enough with Trump and his orange face and his crazy hair and all those memes. It just gets like, you see the same stuff over and over. Can we talk about the candidates? Because when it comes to 2020, we are not going to get a progressive president if we don't get the right people in there now. It is that simple. If things stay the way they are now and we don't get some new blood in there, they're going to prop up their stupid, Kamala and Cory Booker and, all those neo-libs. That's who they want. But we get people in there now, then we have a better chance at passing the legislation we want and getting who we want to run in 2020. So we were talking about all kinds of things strategically. One thing I was not planning on was the divide in the progressive community. Yes, there are different factions. There are Greens, Independents, Burners, Dems, but there are millions of us who all want the same. We all want the same things. We all want money out of politics, Medicare for all, free college tuition, Green New Deal, federal job guarantee. Like, I don't care what someone is registered as long as they want the same things as we do. That's what should matter. But there is so much divisiveness between all of us. And it's sad because it makes you wonder, how the hell are we going to win in 2020? How? Ray, I totally agree. I vote person, not party. Now, the downside is I'm in Pennsylvania and we have a close primary. And, I speak to all my candidates about this. That's one of the things we really need to work on. If we had open primaries, Bernie would be the president. We all know that. Between, switching registrations without the people's requests so they couldn't vote, between locking out, people in New York, things like that. We need to work on strategies to get paper ballots, to get open primaries, even ranked choice. I know a lot of people like that. But we have to really, work on these things because especially the poor and people of color they make it so difficult for people to vote. And it disenfranchises them, rightfully so. We also should be, making automatic registration when you turn 18, same day voter registration. These are things which some some states have this. I've talked to people who are running in states who have these things. Why are there, 50 states and, a couple others added on, and we can't all have the same setup, the same system? That it makes no sense. It should be a universal platform. They all have paper ballots. They all have open primaries. These things are democratic. I just answered my own question. It's by design. They don't want us to vote. They don't win when we vote. I'm kind of scanning the comments as much as I can. What do you guys think as far as 2020? Do you think that we're going to have any success in 2020? I'm not sure how many of you guys saw this, but last weekend on Saturday, the DNC actually sent out a 250-person invite only to a banquet hall to discuss how to keep progressives out of the party. That's true. Like that, they actually did that. They don't want us at all. Wow, Ray, who's that? Yeah, the one thing I'm always preaching on my show is you guys have to research. I've learned we have to research these candidates. There have been a couple that people are like freaking out over. It's this huge progressive win. And then I researched them and saw they've actually taken donations from Hillary and Soros. And yeah, no, you're not a progressive. So, it's our really in my mind, it's our obligation to research these people before we promote them. I don't have a lot of confidence in 2020 personally. I think it is very plausible that we wind up with Trump again, or whoever, Pence or one of the other Satan's spawn. Oh, thank you, Chris. I was going to post that afterwards. A gentleman in the comments posted the article on the meetup on Saturday. But they're making no apologies for trying to, keep us out and they're so scared of people like Alexandria and, Maxine Waters, who is a total neo-lib, who progressives have a huge boner for because she wants to bully Trump, as if that negates everything else she's done. She came out with an article today and, said that the Democrats are not a party of socialists, and said that God is the one that told her to stand up to Trump. So, and I swear I'm like the only person that remembers this, but I mean, it's verified. I posted stuff to, articles and interviews, but she was so nasty, Maxine Waters, this is, to Bernie and his supporters. She was so freaking nasty, and she's taken so much corporate money, and she doesn't care about we the people. She doesn't. So people are so obsessed with looking for a savior that somebody will say one thing and all of a sudden, like, their profile pics have changed and it's this huge thing. It's like the Oprah thing all over again. It's like they give one good speech and it's like, oh, run for president, you're amazing. How about we just work together? Can we just like try to accomplish things together? Because Bern was right. It's us, not me. He may have planted the seed, but like we have to be the ones in the street. We have to be the ones. We've learned that. He can bring it to the floor. And you know what else? I digress. And this is what happens when I rant. When I do interviews, I at least have some kind of like path. But Bern came out with legislation yesterday, which is freaking amazing. And it's not even getting shares because I don't think people understand how huge it is. He actually is doing legislation to end cash bail. That is a freaking huge deal. I've had, candidates like Javanka Beckles on. We've talked about this. A lot of people in California, especially, there are primarily people of color, of course, who, they're allowed to leave jail, but they have like a $75 bail and don't have $75. So they just have to sit there for weeks, a month, whatever, because they don't have $75. This stuff has been happening forever. It continues to happen, and it's continuously, obviously, for poor people and people of color. It's for-profit prisons, which the Clintons have stock in, mind you. That is something that needs to end. So Bern came out with legislation yesterday, and I literally saw it on one person's timeline, except for mine. People are focused on the wrong things. We have to take the power back. We have to. Right now, we have the leverage. We're in 2018, and we could say, you know what? You want our votes in November, or if we still have a primary, here's what you're going to do. You're going to add this to your platform. You're going to hold debates. You're going to hold town halls. And you're going to answer when we ask about XYZ. We have the leverage. There is no settling right now. It's up to us to say, look, here's how it's going to be, or you don't get our votes. It's that simple. Oh, that's awesome, Elizabeth. Yeah, right. And absolutely. And, I had, Ray was saying that we have to fight as hard as the Chuck Schumer, Dianne Feinsteins, and Nancy Pelosi types. And that's so true. I had Stephen Jaffe on twice. Out of 90 candidates, I've only personally endorsed 7. He's one of them. And I swear I really thought that man was going to be taking on Nancy. Cut to 21% of California showing up to vote. You had a chance to get Nancy Pelosi out. Like, this chick is so destructive and such a damn mess. And only 21% came out to vote. That is a damn shame. And if people from California bitch about Nancy Pelosi, I'm like, what district were you in? Because I'm not playing that shit. If you don't vote, if you don't vote, that's your choice. But if you have an option, if you have a legitimate candidate, a good person, someone with the platform you agree with, and you sit on your ass, I don't want to hear you complaining. It's that simple. If you have, there are so many candidates I interview when I'm like, oh, damn, I wish I could vote for them. Can I move in with you for a month and just change my address? And like, there are so many good candidates out there. And then I see them lose by like 50 votes. We have to do something to revitalize. We have to. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Joe. It's, apparently it's, so the other reason I was doing this show is because it is actually my anniversary at Real Progressives. I started my show with Real Progressives 1 year ago this week. And of course, my first videos were on Occupy DNC. So it's been an interesting year. I didn't think I'd go on to make over 100 shows and interview so many candidates and travel across the country for events and all the cool stuff I've done. But Real Progressives has been a pretty amazing thing in my life. It's been pretty awesome. Thanks guys. I have a challenge for everyone who's watching, and I know I was talking about Occupy DNC, but I think this is, I don't want to do Occupy DNC again. I don't. As proud as I am that I went, I definitely passed out on the concrete from heat exhaustion. And I literally broke the soles on my shoes the very first day, the only pair of shoes I had. I had to go to CVS and buy a $2 pair of flip-flops because that's all I could find, and walk for miles a day in those bastards. We screamed till we lost our voices. We had heat exhaustion. I mean, it was emotionally draining. It was exhausting. It was heartbreaking. It was grueling. But I would do it again because it was, I don't give myself props at all. I'm modest to a fault, but that is something I'm actually proud of. The fact that I went and did something that historical and that on that grand of a scale, it was, I was just surprised every day that I was part of something so huge. So I definitely don't regret going. I would go again, but like I said, I do not want to if I don't have to. So I hope that we can work on getting more progressives and Bernie Kratz elected. I hope that we can get more people to focus on primaries. And I hope that we can get more people to focus on election reform. So I have 2 challenges for the people watching. My first challenge is, I posted this challenge today too on my page. Go 24 hours on Facebook without posting one Trump thing. And during those 24 hours, post things about your own party and candidates who are running in 2018. That's your school assignment for 24 hours. Focus on what is important. Hopefully more, longer than that, but that's my challenge to you guys. Also, if you guys do talk to candidates, or meet with any of them, go to town halls, ask them what they're doing about election reform. I don't see this on nearly enough platforms, and it should be one of our priorities. Because we can, as we know, we can have an amazing candidate, but if it's rigged from the start, it's not gonna work. So yeah, that's my challenge. Thank you, Joe. So thank you guys so much for watching, especially, like I said, I like doing my rants because I get to purge when I'm angry. Yes, thank you, Sharon. Agreed. So can we just... Oh, yeah, totally right. Absolutely. I just meant, as far as concentrate on your own party, what I meant was that there are so many Democrats who are Democrats who have never voted Republican, who have never donated Republican, who have never been registered a Republican. Yet, all they do is post about the Republicans. Well, the Democrats, lack of a better term, are the ones who cheated us, stole our money, rigged an election. These are the ones who lied to us, stole from us, and betrayed us. This is who we should focus on. The people who actually screwed us over. We all knew the Republicans sucked before 2016. This isn't a revelation. If you're going to wave a card that says Democrat, then you should be proud of what you're representing. And if you're proud of what they're doing right now, that's a problem. I just really want to see more people focusing on changing their own party if they are Dems, instead of just deflecting. That's one of the biggest complaints I have about the Dems, is that all they talk about is Trump, Trump, Trump. Okay, how about this? How about how you don't respond to our calls for Medicare for all and a Green New Deal, and you're still, voting for $770 billion in war budget increases and things like this. They don't listen to we the people. The DCCC, who's like a little, a baby of the DNC, their legit slogan is, have you seen the other guys? True story. Look it up. So serious. That's what it's come to. We're shit, but they're even shittier. That's not acceptable. And we have to call people out who think it is. But Trump is not a good enough excuse. You need to represent us. You need to support us. You need to answer to us, because you are not supposed to, if you take our votes, you're supposed to represent us. You're supposed to be a voice for we the people, not you standing over us and, not acknowledging anything we've asked. That's what this has come to, a plutocracy. I agree, Trisha. We very well may lose in 2020. And if they try to run creepy Biden or any of those people, we're going to lose. We will lose. I will put money on it right now. There's no way we're going to win with someone like that. But it's our job to actually post these truths and actually tell the Dems, you need to wake the fuck up, even if chances are they won't. We have to be able to say that we actually stood on the right side of history and we warned them, look, this is what's going to happen. Because, let's be real. I don't see the Dems embracing progressives, and it's sad. But yeah, but that's the challenge. Please post no Trump for 24 hours and only candidates and articles for the 2018 primaries. And Saturday, I will be doing my first in-person interview, which is going to be weird because I've never done that in 100. I'm going to be meeting Jeff Weaver, who was Bernie's campaign manager off and on for 32 years. He was his 2016 presidential campaign manager. I'm going to be meeting him in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where I live. He's coming to a bookstore here to talk about his new book. And I definitely recommend his new book. He addresses so much more than I thought he would. I thought he was going to play it way more safe than he did. He mentions a lot that I definitely didn't expect him to talk about, from using the term hillbots to, calling the Clintons neolibs, to, quoting WikiLeaks, to talking about all the rigging. He says a lot more than I thought he would. So I definitely recommend that. As always, I'm going to be asking the questions that my comrades want answers to. So that is Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And then I just talked to Tim Canova today, and he's going to be coming back on. Tim was my very first guest, my first interview. And of course he said yes, because he had no idea. I told him the next day, and he was still very sweet and gracious. And that was actually 1 year ago on August 15th. So he's coming back on that anniversary to kind of come full circle and celebrate all the interviews I've done in the past year. So that's pretty awesome. I loved him. He's awesome. And he went independent, so, which is rad. So anyway, but next show is Saturday, 5 p.m. with Jeff Lever. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for commenting. And again, keep my challenge in mind, because I know you guys can totally do that. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great night.